In this video, we are going to see the command line arguments concept in C language. So for command line arguments, you need to use the command prompt or the command line of your laptop or computer. So basically we will be seeing that why do we need the command line arguments. So to begin with, let me explain to you that whenever we install an operating system in our hardware like a laptop or computer, that time two things get installed. One is when you install operating system, one thing that gets installed is the command user interface, CUI. That is the command user interface or the character user interface. And the other is the GUI, that is graphical user interface. Okay, graphical user interface is nothing but the drag and drop or the icon clicking and all that you usually do on your laptop or desktop. For example, in graphical user interface, you will be able to see all that you can currently see on my screen. That is, you can see all these icons. Suppose I want to open this Google Chrome, then I will click on this and then I can work with it. Or suppose I want to open my dev C++ IDE, then I will click on the dev C++ icon. Okay, and then it will open it for me. Similarly, if I want to open the Gmail, then I can simply click on that respective icon. But all these things can be done without using this graphical user interface as well. Okay, so you might be thinking, graphical user interface is simple and easy for us to use, then why do we use the command line user interface? Okay, so first let me show you what is command line user interface. So simply in your search bar, you can type CMD, which stands for command prompt, and then open that. Okay, so this black screen that you can see, right? This is nothing but your command line, right? This simple black screen that you can see is your command line. So sometimes the command user interface is also called as black screen. Okay, it is also called as black screen. Whereas your IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment, using which you develop your programs, is also called as blue screen. Okay, so all the programming that you do using your dev C++ IDE, that can also be done purely using your command line interface as well. Okay, command user interface. So why do we need command user interfaces? Because sometimes the tasks that we perform using the graphical user interface may not be efficient or not be as fast as possible. For example, certain network related issues or certain security issues or certain tasks of installing certain softwares and all, they can be efficiently and be done, and they can be done faster using this command user interface and not with the graphical user interface. So what is the difference is, in graphical user interface, you have to use your mouse, your mouse pointer, and using that you have to click on certain things in order to open them or access them. Or you use your keyboard also sometimes in order to rename a particular file. Suppose I want to rename Google Chrome, then I can simply change it to G Chrome if you want, right? Using the keyboard, I can type it out as G Chrome. Okay. So you can use a combination of your mouse as well as keyboard, that is your input devices, if you want to work with graphical user interface. But for the command line or the command prompt or the command user interface, you purely use the typing, that is you use your keyboard or an input device like keyboard. Okay, so I hope you have understood the two interfaces. One is the graphical user interface, one is the command user interface. Usually the command user interface is used by the programmers or the developers, right? And the graphical user interface is usually used by the customers or the end users. So command user interface, you have to use certain commands, you have to give input as a command. The inputs will be given in the form of commands, and those inputs, which are nothing but the commands, will run in order to perform the required operations on your desktop or laptop or PC. In graphical user interface, you don't have to enter commands. You have to use your mouse for clicking and sometimes your keyboard for typing. Okay, so now we already know well in advance how to use the graphical user interface. Now let us see how we can use the command user interface, right? There is a special study that you can go for in order to study the commands that you have to execute within your command line. Okay, you can study the commands. Just you need to know a certain set of commands, and using that you can do many things on your laptop or desktop without your graphical user interface. So for example, you can see here, now since I'm using Microsoft Windows and its respective version can be displayed over here directly, automatically by the command line. Okay. Now by default, it will open the command line in your C drive. So if you are seeing here C:/user/ the name of the account, that is my name in this case, you can see this much for now on your command line. So in graphical user interface, how it will be? In graphical user interface, you are actually saying that you are in your C drive, right? Just now what we saw on your command line, C:, means you're in your C drive. Means in graphical user interface, you must say that you are over here. This is my C drive, right? This is my C drive. And within that, I am in where you can see your users, right? You can see users over here. Means within the C drive, I'm in the users folder. And this is my users folder, right? Let me make it bigger for you. So I have my users folder, this one. Okay, so I'm clicking it. And within that, where I'm, this name you can see, account name, that is nothing but this name, right? So currently where I am somewhere inside this folder. Okay, in this folder, somewhere inside I am. Okay, that is indicated by this much of your command line, right? For graphical user interface, what you have to do, you have to keep on going deeper into the hierarchy. But in command user interface, the depth is how it is described. C drive, within that users folder, within users folder, this folder. Okay, I repeat, what is the first thing you can see? C drive. So I have graphical user interface, how it will do, how it will work. You have to click on C drive. Then within C drive, where in the users folder. So I have to search my users folder. I'll click and go inside my users folder. But where inside my users folder? Inside this folder. So inside this folder. Okay. And now within this folder, I want to access something that I have to type a command for that. Right. So I hope you have understood this much. Now suppose I want to open the desktop folder. Then what I'll do? I have to simply click on desktop over here. Right? I'll go inside it. How you will go inside desktop folder using your command line? Right? I hope someone, one or the other may be knowing it already, but still I will give an introduction to command line programming or command line working. So to go inside your desktop folder, what you have to do, you have to type cd. Cd stands for change directory. Okay, change directory. And then type desktop. That is the name of the folder. Now the name of the folder over here is what? Capital D ESKTOP. Same thing you must type a name of the folder, but with a space, cd space desktop, and then click on enter. Just a minute. Right, so what you need to type, cd desktop, and then enter. So what happens? You have gone inside your desktop folder. Now how do you identify? First is users folder, within that this folder, and within this folder I'm in desktop. Okay, and whatever is after this angular bracket that you can see, this angular bracket is indicating that you are inside your desktop folder. Now if I want to go within my desktop to some folder, like which are the folders I have within my desktop or on my desktop, I have this C programming language folder. So what I'll type, cd, since it is a folder, you must type cd, then C programming. You have to type the whole thing. But instead of that, what is the alternative that the command line beautifully provides? You must type cd space, then just type capital C for C programming folder, and then click on tab. Okay, tab means the tab character key on your keyboard. So I'll show you the on-screen keyboard now, so that you know which character on my keyboard I'm clicking on or pressing. So C programming, if I click tab, it will automatically complete the remaining name of that folder, right? I must click on tab. What it will do, it will complete the name automatically of that folder. If again I click on tab, the remaining folders starting with the letter C will be displayed here. Okay, for example, in my desktop, what folders I have? I have C programming language. The name of this folder starts with capital C. I have another folder with the name starting with capital C, that is Cyber Security Club. Another thing I have with the name capital C, it is starting with this common data. Another folder starting with capital C is CP. So all these things, if you want to access, means suppose you don't want to access the common data folder, then what you'll do, again you'll click on tab. Then next folder which starts with C, it will display. Again I click on tab, next folder which starts with C, it will display, and so on. See, you can see here now, next folder which is displayed is Cyber Security Club folder. Again I click on tab, the remaining folder is what? C programming language. Again I click on tab. So if all the folders starting with C have been displayed, then it will return to the initial folder. After cybersecurity, there's no other folder starting with capital C. So it will go back to the first folder which it had started with capital C. That is C programming language. Again, I click on tab, next folder starting with capital C. Again, I click on tab, next folder starting with C or capital C, and so on. And if you finish all the folders starting with capital C, it will return to the first folder which it had opened on its own, right? So now I am in my C programming language folder. So I must click enter. So now what has happened? I have gone to the C programming language folder. Now, as you can see, within my C programming language folder, what do I have? I have a C day 1 unit 1 folder. So it is again a folder. So I must type cd space C. Now click on tab. What it is displaying? It is displaying the folder which starts with capital C. Again, I click on tab. It is displaying a folder starting with capital C. Again, I click. So I've got my C day 1 unit 1 folder. I've got the appropriate folder. I'll click on enter. I have gone to it. Okay, so this way you can go inside your folders. Now within C day 1, what do I have? I have certain PDFs, right? I have attendance day 1 PDF. If I want to open a PDF, PDF is not a folder. So what I'll do, the way you must do it is, you must type within your double quote. Within double quote, you must type the name of that PDF. ATTEANDANC you can type, or what is the best option? Click on tab, right? On my keyboard, I can click on tab. So what it did, it typed the whole name of the PDF with the extension, right? So this is my PDF. Now I can click on enter. Just a minute. And also, if you want to open, you want to see what we were doing till now. We were doing CD desktop. Then we went inside desktop. Then we were doing CD C programming language. So one by one, we are going inside the folders. But what if you want to do it in one stretch? You must write CD desktop, then backward slash on your keyboard. Then you can type C for C programming and then click on tab. Okay, it has auto completed it. Within C programming, if I click again backslash, then I can click on attendance PDF. Attendance I must type and then tab. Okay, so first let us go in C programming folder. Okay, then click on enter. So you have come inside this C programming folder. Now if you want, now you can go single step. That means you can click on which one now? C day 1 unit 1. CD, C. You can click on tab, then it comes on C day 1 unit 1 folder. Then enter. Then the name of the PDF, that is attendance, has completed it. And then enter. What it did when I clicked enter, it directly opened the folder for me, right? Using my graphical user interface, I could have done it how? I could have gone to desktop, then C programming language folder, then C day 1 unit 1 folder, and then click on the PDF file and it will open. But through command prompt also I did it, right? How did I do it? Let me open another folder to you and show me. This time, let me open the resources day 1 unit 1 C programming doc file. So what I'll do, I'm already in C day 1 unit 1. Okay, I'm in this folder. So I can type the name of my document file within double quote. If it is a PDF file or anything which is not a folder, within the double quote you can give your name of that particular file. So you can type what? Capital R for resources, then click on tab. It has auto completed it, click on enter. So what it did, it opened that folder for me automatically through the command line. I didn't have to go through the graphical user interface. So I hope you understood how to go deeper inside a directory and how you can open the different files within that particular directory. Okay, just a minute. So in this way, you can go to different locations within different directories which are available on your computer or laptop or desktop. Now, let us see some more commands that we can give on our command line. Now suppose I'm in my C day 1 unit 1 folder. If I want to go back to the parent folder or to the previous folder, that is my C programming language folder, if I want to come here, then how can I do it using command prompt? I can do it using cd, that is change directory. I'm changing my folder, right, or my directory. So again I want to change it, so cd and then write 2 times full stop and click enter. So it will go back one step, or it will go back by one folder, right? From C day 1 unit 1 directory or folder, it has gone back to my C programming language folder. Again, if I type cd space 2 times full stop or dot, then it will again go back one step, that is, it will go back to desktop folder. Now again, if I want to go back to C programming folder, what I'll do, cd C tab. It has auto completed. Click on enter. I've come back to my C programming language folder, right? Now within my C programming language folder, if I want to display what all the folders I have, all these folders names or file names, for example, C day 3 unit 3 part 2 or C program 1 or C programming course, all these names of the folders or the files, if I want to display, what command I should type? dir enter. So it has displayed the names of all the files or folders names which are present within my C programming language directory. How I did it? By typing the command dir, this command dir. And what, so if it is a directory like or folder, for example, C day 5 unit 3 part 1, you can see it here, C day 5 unit 3 part 1. Okay, so it is a folder or a directory, subdirectory, so its name is getting displayed. Suppose it is a file, for example, advantages of inheritance. This is a file name. It is not a folder or a directory. Then what is happening? It is getting displayed with its extension as well as the size. This is the size that you can see before it. Okay. And if it is a directory or folder, it will type like this within angular brackets. Automatically, it will come as dir. And these numbers are nothing else but the size of the files. Right? This doc file has the name, this one. Okay. So we have seen how to open the names of the different files or directories or content in a particular directory, right? Using certain other commands, you can display all the Wi-Fi passwords that are registered within your laptop. Using some other command, you can install certain software. For example, if you want to install a Python software, you can use the command pip install. Okay, so all these commands you can use using your command prompt. So, so certain installations may be difficult using graphical user interface, and they may be easy using your command line approach. Okay, so this was some basic introduction to how you can go about with your command line interface or command user interface. So you can try out, there are different resources available. You can check out the different commands that you can work with. Now, traditionally or till now, how we were going about with programming, we opened the dev C++ IDE, we created a new program file. We typed certain code, we saved the file. Then what we did, we compiled it, then executed it, and we got the output, right? We have been doing this till now. But this is the shortcut that you have been adopting. What else you can do is the correct way to do. What you can do is, suppose you don't have dev C++ IDE, you can still write programs, compile programs, and execute programs. How you can do it? You can use your notepad for writing the program. Okay, you can use your notepad for writing the program. So that we'll be seeing in some moments from now on. So before that, let me show you how to open a program file. Right, we have opened the PDF files, we have opened documents and all. Now how to open the program files. Okay, so for now, let me show you how to open. Suppose C strings, and in that I have a file called as program file called as string to int. It is a C program file. I want to open this file, suppose. So where I have to go? First desktop. Within that I have to go to C programming language folder. Within that I have to go to C strings folder. So again I'll open command prompt by typing cmd in my search bar. Click on this command prompt thing. Then I can type cd desktop to go inside my desktop folder or directory. Then within that I have to go to C programming and so on. So click on tab so that it auto completes it. Okay. Then what you can do, you can give a backslash over here. Okay, so that you can go inside multiple folders in one stretch. You don't have to keep typing cd again and again. So C programming language backslash C and then give on tab. So it will search. You can keep pressing on tab again and again so that you can go to the appropriate folder, subfolder. Okay, so finally I got my C strings folder. So click on enter. So now I am inside my C strings folder. That means through graphical user interface, if I want to show you, I am inside C strings folder over here, right? C strings folder inside I am. Now I want to open the file string to int. Okay, so what I'll type within my double quote, I must type string and click on tab. It opens string to int. If you skip it, what will happen? Again, you have to keep pressing on tab. String to int dot C file. Okay, this is your program file. Click on enter. Now you can see string to int is visible in my dev C++ IDE. Right? Now suppose I want to execute from here. Means what? In my dev C++ IDE, how I had to do? I had to compile and run it. Now if I want to compile and run using command prompt, how I will do? The commands are, I'm using gcc compiler. So first I have to compile it. For compiling, one command you have to type. So you must type gcc space the name of the program file, that is string, and you can auto complete it, right, by clicking on tab. So string to int dot c, but don't specify it within your double quote. So what you have to do, you must type gcc the program file name dot c and click on enter. Okay, so just a minute. So you can either open your program files, or you can compile it, or you can execute it. And not necessarily you must open it to compile it and all. You can directly compile it without opening it in your dev C++ IDE. So now let me open, or let me compile the file, program file hello, which is in the C day 5 unit 3 part 1 folder. So I must type cd, I must go inside desktop backslash C for C programming folder. You can click on tab so that it gets auto completed. Then within your quote, you must type backslash, then C, click on tab so that you keep going to the appropriate subfolder, that is day 5 unit 3 part 1. Okay, click on enter. So now you are inside C day 5 unit 3 part 1 folder. Now within this, I want to compile hello program file. So you must type gcc space hello.c and then click on enter. If there is no error in your program, there will be nothing written over here. Like if there is an error, it will give you the error message. But since there is no error, what is happening? It is directly getting compiled successfully. And then you must type the name of your program, just the name. Okay, that is name of the program is hello, and click on enter. So it has executed it, right? I'll tell you what is the code later on, but now it has executed it as end of program. This is getting executed. What is written in the program? Some printf statements are there, and then end of program. So if end of program is getting displayed, so it is working successfully. Now, suppose I remove some code, I comment it out. So now what is there? Hello is there. and this int a equal to 5. So I can directly compile through dev C++. What should be the output? Hello. What can I do? What else can I do using my command prompt? So now I have changed the code, right? And you have to save it. After changing the code, save this. Okay. You must save it by clicking on file and save. I have already saved. Suppose I make any change, like again I type int b equal to 6. And suppose I want to print the value of b. I can type printf \n b equal to %d, and then click on comma, and then the name of the variable, that is b. So now this is not saved. So I must save it by clicking on file, save, or you can click on this icon also. So it is saved now. Don't forget to save. Only after saving, compile it. Otherwise, without saving, if you compile, whatever previous code was written, that will only get executed. Whatever updated code you have written, that will not get executed. Okay, so now again I need to compile it because I've changed some code in my program file. So I must type gcc hello.c. Click on enter. There's no error, so successfully it is compiled. Then you must click on hello program name and click on enter. So it is clicking on hello. It is typing. Okay, but this b was not getting printed, means it has not been saved successfully, right? If you run it from dev C++, it will give you b equal to 6 hello. So now I have saved it once again, and now I must compile it again by clicking on gcc hello. Now again and again I have to type gcc hello and all. So what I'll do, simply using my keyboard, I'm showing you the on-screen keyboard, what you have to type, upward arrow key. So all the possible things that you have typed beforehand, like whatever you have typed the commands, gcc hello.c, hello, all those things will come again. If you click on upward arrow, means you're going top one by one to the commands. So if I click on upward arrow, it is going to hello. Again, I click on upward arrow. Before this hello, what is there? gcc hello.c. So that is appearing. Before this gcc hello.c, what is there? Hello. So again, if I click on upward arrow, will go. If I want to come down, means now currently where I am, over here, desktop C programming language. If I want to come to gcc hello.c, I will click on downward arrow. See, I've come to gcc hello.c. So now I'm over here. If I want to go one step downward, that means I want to come to hello. What I have to do? Downward arrow. So I've come on hello. Now again, I want to come downward. I want to come to gcc hello.c. Again, I can click the downward arrow key. I've come there. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to compile it again. So click on enter. So it has compiled. Now I must type the name of the program hello and enter. So now it was saved successfully. So it is giving me the output b equal to 6 and hello. So to compile, what you must do, you must type the command gcc program name dot c. If you want to execute the compiled file, what you have to do, you must type hello. Okay. Now suppose there is some error in your file, then it will give you the error message. Now I have already written the program using dev C++, and that I'm compiling and executing. Suppose I don't want to do it using dev C++. Then what I will do, I can do it using Notepad also, right? If you don't have dev C++, what is the alternative? Use Notepad. So I've opened Notepad. So I will type the statements one by one here. Hash include stdio.h. And then a simple program of hello world if I want to execute, void main, enter, open curly bracket, write printf, then hello world, complete your quotation and closing bracket, semicolon, and then closing curly bracket. Right, so this is a simple program written using C programming language, but without an IDE, using Notepad. So now you have to save this. So file, save, or you can click on Ctrl+S, and then wherever you want to save it. Suppose I want to save it on my desktop. So I'll select the desktop folder here, and you must type the name of the program file. Suppose I want to type it as hello file. I want to save my program file with the name hello file, and don't forget to change the save as type. It is telling that by default it will save it as a .txt, that is a text file. So change this as to all files. Okay, change the save as type to all files, and then click on save. So now, as you can see on my desktop, the hello file has been saved. Okay, but it has been saved as a text file because you have forgotten one thing to do. What you have forgotten to do? I just delete this thing which I've file which I've created. Okay, so I'll do it once again. Open Notepad. I'll type the code similarly and then click on save. And this time, what I'll do, you have to type the name of the file as hello file, any program name you can give appropriately, and click on .c. You have to also give the extension on your own, .c. Okay, because by default, Notepad will save it as a text file. You want to save it as a C program file, so give the program name .c. You have to write it .c, and then change the save as type to all files. So now it will not save it as Notepad file or text file. It will save it as a .c file, program file. And now click on save. Okay, now it has been saved as a program file. Why can I say that? Because see here, you're getting the icon as a dev C++ icon. If you create another file, okay, I'm creating another file, and suppose same code I'm typing, but at the time of saving, if I don't give the extension, without the extension, and suppose I don't change the save as type also, it is a .txt. But suppose even if I change the thing to all files, and if I don't give the extension .c in my program name, in my file name, and save it, what will happen? It will get saved on your desktop, but the icon will be different. The icon will be similar to a text file icon, right? This is a text file. The icon is this one, and same icon is this one. Means it is a text file. It has been saved as. But if you want to save it as a .c file, the icon should be this one, right? This one. So now, if I want to run this, what I've done, first step was open Notepad, right? Then what you have to do, type the code, then save it as a .c file. Then you have to compile this file. Then you have to execute the file, and then finally you'll get the output, right? What should be the output? The output should be hello world. Okay, that is what I wrote in my code. What I've written in my code, hello world. So now using command line or command prompt, first I have to go inside my desktop folder. So I cannot simply type desktop. If you simply type desktop, it will give it as desktop is not recognized as a command. So what is the actual command? You must type cd desktop. So you've gone inside desktop successfully. Why I can say that? Because desktop has come over here in this address. Now, what I have to do? I want to compile this file, which is a hello file.c file. So I must type gcc. Then the name of the file is hello file. Give the name of the file as hello file, and then the extension as .c, and then you must click on enter using your keyboard. So there was no error, so successfully I have compiled. Now there is no error message, so I can say that. Now I want to execute it or run the compiled file. See, there was no this file, this A. Okay, this A was not there. So it has created a executable file after compiling. And then what has happened? This file, you can execute it, the compiled file, by typing hello. This is a .exe file. You must not specify the extension. What is the command for compiling? Gcc file name .c. But to execute, simply you must type the name of the file, that is hello file, without any extension, and click on enter. But this time I'm getting some error. Okay, so let me do one thing. See, if I execute it using dev C++, it will execute. Okay, same thing we have to do using command line. So suppose since I'm explaining, the response time, or I'm not frequently interacting with command line, so it is not working that efficiently. And since I'm sharing my screen and all, but when you do it at your end, it will work properly. So cd desktop, then I want to compile the hello file, gcc hello file. Or if you don't want to type it, you can auto complete it by clicking on tab .c. Okay, now I have compiled it. Now the name of the file, that is See here, this hello file has been created after compiling. It was not there here, right? Now I must type HELLO file and click on enter. So now the file was getting executed. Hello world is getting displayed. The output of the program is getting displayed. Now, not necessary you can create this program file on a desktop only. You can create it in any directory. Just you must go to that directory and save the file in that directory. Right? For example, in my C programming folder, I can go inside any folder, save the file over here, and then I can go to that particular folder using command line and then execute it. Right? For example, I showed you how to execute this hello file, right? This file. I had to go deeper and deeper till I reach this folder, C day 5 unit 3 part 1, and then execute this file by compiling it and running it. Okay, so I hope you understood how you can do it without using IDE. You must write a program in your notepad, save it with the extension .c, save the file as a .c file, and then compile it by giving the command gcc hello file.c, and then hello file, the name of the program to execute it, right? So this was how you can execute your programs by compiling and running them using your command line and without using dev C++ IDE. If you have VS Code IDE, then you can do it there directly using command line also. Okay, you don't need a separate command line. You can use the VS Code ka command line also. But dev C++ does not have its own command line type, so you have to use your desktop's command line. Okay, so now let us see what are the command line arguments. Command line arguments is a concept in C programming as well as in C++ programming. They are given after the name of the program in the command line shell of the operating system. This black screen that I have opened here is nothing but it is your command line, or it can be called as command prompt or command line shell of your computer. So that is what is written, command line shell of operating system or command line shell of computer. So these command line arguments must be given after the name of your program. Means here, what was the name of the program? Hello file I was writing. To execute the program, I was writing hello file. So after this hello file, you must write the different command line arguments. Okay. So now in where these command line arguments can be used in your program. For example, see in our main, right, you have not seen this type of parameters for the main. For the main, what you have you don't have any parameters till now, but you can also have parameters passed to your main. Who calls the main of the program? Right, operating system will call the main of the particular program, the main function of the program. So these commands need to be passed from the operating system, which is nothing but using your command line. Okay, so using your command prompt, you have to pass the arguments, and whatever arguments you pass, they will be copied to this argc and argv. Okay, and these arguments can be accessed through your program then. So what is happening when you pass the command line arguments through your command prompt over here, they will get copied to these arguments over here, and then using this you can access. Okay, so you must write int argc. Argc stands for argument count, and argv is an array of pointers. Means we have seen arrays. So array of pointers means what? If you have an array like this, within the array you can store elements, but this time the elements that you are storing will be nothing but a pointer to a character. Means here, suppose you will be storing star p1. Here you will be storing star p2. These are the pointers to characters. Okay. So this is just internally it will happen. You don't have to do all these things, but just for your information, I'm explaining. So star p1 is a pointer which will point to a character, and this character is nothing but the first character of a string. Okay. Now why string I'm saying? Because the command line arguments that you pass over here will be stored in the form of a string. Okay. And the number of command line arguments will be stored as the first parameter, that is argument count. How many command line arguments you're passing, the count of the arguments is an integer value, so it will be stored in this variable argc. And the command line arguments that you actually pass, they are nothing but they will be stored as a string, and the pointer to that string will be stored in this argv array. So what will happen, that we will see now. So argc is the, it will be clear when we execute the program. Argc is argument count. It stores the number of command line arguments you pass through your command prompt. And suppose if we pass a value to a program, means you are passing a command line argument, then the value of argc will be 2. But argument you have passed is only 1. Then why is the count of the arguments 2? Because first argument by default is taken as the name of the program. One count is 1 for the name of the program, and count becomes 2 for the argument which you actually pass. Okay, so if you don't pass any argument, the count of arguments is 1, because if you don't pass any argument, by default the argument passed automatically is the name of the program. Okay, this thing will get clear when we see. The value of argc should be non-negative. Okay, by default it will be 1 only, because if you don't pass any argument, the first argument that gets passed automatically is the name of your program. So always the minimum value of argument count is 1. So by default argc value is 1. Argument vector or argv, or it is also called as argument value, it is the actual command line argument. So argv is an array of strings, but actually you can say that it is an array of pointers. So this argument is nothing but an array. It is an array, and this array will store pointers, and these pointers are nothing but pointers to a character. But to which character? To the characters of the string of your command line. For example, if you are passing a command line argument like abcd, abcd will be stored as a string. Okay, abcd will be stored as a string, and this character pointer star p1 will point to the first character of the string, which is nothing but a. Okay, so imagine this is your command line, this black screen. So here you'll pass an argument, suppose abcd. Okay, you're passing this string as abcd. Now in argv what will happen? Argv is an array, and it will store automatically a pointer, say p1, and this pointer is a pointer to a character. But it will point to which character? It will point to the first character of this string. Which is the first character of the string abcd? Character a. Okay, so using this pointer, it will be able to access this whole string, right? We have seen how to access a string using a pointer to the string. Similarly, if your next command line argument is the number 2, 2, though it is an integer, it will be stored in your program as a string. So it is nothing but equivalent to saying within double quote, if you write 2, it becomes a string. But if you only write 2, it is an integer. But within double quote, if you write 2, it is a character in this case, but a string. If you write 2, 3, 4, it is actually an integer 234. But within double quote, if you write, it becomes a string 234, right? So by default, it is whatever you enter as a command line argument, it is taken as a string, not as an integer, float, double character. No, it is taken as a string. Okay, so here you can have a second pointer, ptr, which will point to the first character of this string 2. Now there's only one character in the string, so the second command line argument is 2, okay, which you pass. So this will get clear when we see the program. Okay, so now let me actually run a program and show you. So now what I've written here, int argc, char star argv, and here I've given the empty square brackets. Okay, this is compulsory part. You cannot change it. What you can change is this argc. You can say either a or you can say b. The name of these arguments is not important. It can be argc, argv. By convention, by standard practices, you must write argc and argv only. But if you don't want to write this, you can simply write a, or you can say parameter 1, anything we can say, right? Whenever we write the function header, what we write, suppose we write void func, then we write int a comma char b, right? This is nothing but, it can be any name. It can be a b c d, it can be and, or you can write anything like food. Anything can be the name of this parameter, right? Similarly, this parameter, not compulsory you must write argc. It can be anything, a b c d, anything that you can think of. Any valid identifier, right? Suppose you are passing an if your array, or suppose if your parameter is storing an integer value, then you can say int parameter. You can say anything. You can give this name anything, not compulsory argc or argv. But for practice purpose, I'm writing argv. Sorry, argc, and here it will be argv. So whatever you type through your command line, that will get copied to, as the count will be stored, how many ever command line arguments you give, that count will be stored in argc, and the actual arguments will be stored in the form of a string in this array, which can be accessed using the pointers. Okay, so in simple words, you can understand that whatever command line arguments you pass, they will be stored in the form of this string in the array argv. Okay, and I'm going to print the count, that is I'm going to print argc. Okay, so let me save this program. If you run it using IDE, then it will not give you proper output. You will not be able to type the command line arguments. Okay, and by default it is giving the count as 1, because the by default command line argument is the name of your program. Okay, so I'll remove the other things like printing hello and all, because it is not necessary. Now let me go to my command line. I will type cmd. Now within my command line, I have to first go in desktop. Now if you simply click on enter, it will keep on typing this prompt, this part, indicating that you're within this particular folder. So this thing will happen if you keep on pressing enter. Now you can type cd desktop / I want to go with my C programming file. Now it will not be correct, because this desktop DE is capital, only D should be capital. So it will give you an error. Okay, so what you should do, if you type cd, if I make any spelling mistake, like I type ftop by mistake, then the system cannot find this path. It will type like this. What is the correct thing? cd desktop. So suppose you make any spelling mistake, suppose you instead of top you write tpp and click enter, again it will give wrong thing. So there are chances that you make a mistake in the name of a folder. That is why you have the autocomplete feature when you click on tab. When I click on tab, it will give me the different options that are there in this folder. So I can help the autocomplete by by typing at least some words of the folder, right? Some letters of the folder. I can type DES and then it will autocomplete it to desktop. And now I can give /, click capital C for C programming folder and click on tab. It will autocomplete it. If you want some other folder, then you can click on tab. It will go for the different options that you have. Now I want this folder. Then within that, I want to go to and make sure this / you give within your double quote. Okay, not outside the double quote. C, then click on tab for the different options within your C programming folder. What I have, C day 5 unit 3 part 1. I want to go to that folder. So I'll keep clicking on tab until I get it. Okay. I've reached it. Okay, click on enter. You have gone inside your C day 5 part 3 unit 1 folder. Now within this, I want to execute this hello file, because in that program I want to execute. So I must click, I want to compile it first. So gcc hello, dot C and click on enter. There's no error, so no error message. I'll show you if you get an error, what type of error message you'll get. Now you want to execute it. So you must type hello, GLLO. So for now, you're not passing any command line arguments. You're simply executing it without passing any command line arguments. Now you click on enter. So what it will type, the argument count argc equal to 1. By default it is 1. Why? Because the name of your program, that is this hello, is also considered as a first command line argument. The name of your program is the by default first command line argument. So hello is the argument, command line argument, which has been passed. So the count will be 1. Okay, now just a minute. Okay, so now if I want to pass some command line arguments, how I will do it? So again, I must go in my, I've opened a new command prompt interface. So I can type cd desktop tab. If you want to autocomplete, backslash, I want to go to C programming file. Okay, so you can either do desktop tab backslash capital C, click on tab, it will autocomplete. Then backslash again, click on capital C, click on tab, auto completion. You will go to your appropriate folder, click on enter because you have gone inside the deepest folder which you want. And now you want to compile a file. So that you cannot do by clicking backslash n. You must type the command gcc hello.c. Click on enter. Successful compilation. You can execute it by clicking by typing the name of your program. And now I want to pass certain command line arguments. Your command line arguments may be anything. For now, I want to type some argument like ABCD space. Your second argument you can give by clicking on, suppose FOOD. You can give certain integer value also, whatever. Everything will be stored as a string. Okay, even if you give an integer value 234, it will be stored as a string. Means you can imagine it is within a double quote. Now click on enter. So now you can see what are the command line arguments. The name of the program is by default the first argument. Even if you don't pass any argument, the count will be 1 only because the first argument, command line argument, is hello. Then second argument you passed is ABCD. Third argument food. Fourth argument 234. So total count of the command line arguments you have passed is 4. And if you separate this typing with a space, that means space next argument, space next argument, space next argument. So space indicates that it is the next argument. So total 4 arguments. So the count is 4 over here. Okay. So if you want to run this again, you can either type hello and pass some more arguments, some other arguments like 234 space means you're giving the next argument. You can type anything. Space means you're giving the next argument and click on enter. So again, I've given 4 arguments, so the count is 4. Now I don't want to type hello, but I want to execute. What I'll click on? I'll click on the upward arrow key. It will give me the all possible things which I've typed up till now. Okay. So I suppose I want to compile. I'll select this one and click on enter. Okay. Then I can click on, suppose, HELLO, and then I'm giving different parameters now. So I've given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So count is 7, as you can see here. Okay. Suppose I don't give any, and you can execute multiple times if you compile, and it is not necessary to compile every time before executing. Means what you'll do, once you type gcc hello.c, you have compiled it. Now you can type hello to execute it. Again, if you want to execute, you don't have to compile it again. Again, you don't have to type gcc hello.c. Simply type the name of your program. It will get executed. You can compile once, but you can execute multiple times. Okay. But suppose you make a change. Okay. And you do in your program. And suppose I make a change here by not giving semicolon, right? So it will give me an error. In your IDE also it will give you an error. And in your command line also it will give you an error. But suppose now there is an error, right? So if I go to execute, it should display the error message. But it will not because you have not compiled it. So now I'm going to execute. It is successfully executing, right? Why it didn't give me error message? Because there is a change in your code which has not been saved. It will only be saved if you compile it first by clicking gcc hello.c. Now you'll compile it. So it is giving you the error message that the semicolon is expected before printf, and it will also give you the appropriate line number. Right? If you miss a semicolon here, the line number at which you'll get an error is the next consecutive line, that is number 11. If I bring this printf to line number 10, at line number 10 I should get the error, right? But I will, if I again go to execute it, if I again compile it, but now I have typed this gcc hello.c command. So what I'll do, in my keyboard I can simply click the upward arrow. It will give me the suggestions that till now whatever I have typed, that means this it will give me as a suggestion, it will give me this as a suggestion, this, and so on. If I don't want this as the suggestion, I can again click on upward arrow. So what it will give me, this one, right? Again, if I click on upward arrow, it will give me this one, and so on. Now the error should be at line number 10. So I'm compiling it, I get the error, but again I'm getting it at line number 11. Why? Because it has not been saved, right? So I must save this also, right? So first save your program, then only the changes will be reflected, and compile your program, then only the changes will be reflected. Now I will compile. Now you're getting the error, okay? But still it is not. So again I should save it properly, gcc hello.c. Now you're getting the error at line number 10, okay? This is the error message. Suppose I remove this error, but I don't save my program file, okay? Then I go to compile it, it will still give me the error. I save my file, okay? I save my file. Now if I go to compile it using command prompt by clicking on gcc hello.c, it is executing successfully. Why? Because I have saved my file, I have recompiled it. Okay, suppose I had not compiled it, only executed, still it would give me error. Let me show you. Okay, I have made some error in my program. Now if I go to execute by clicking on hello, it will execute because the error has not been saved. So I need to recompile to accommodate the updated code. Now I'll get the error, right? Because I have saved my program, I have compiled it. Now if I go to execute by clicking the program name, it will not execute, okay? So now let me remove this error and then save, okay? And I can compile it and execute using IDE, or I can simply compile it over here. Okay, it is compiling successfully. Now I can click on HELLO. So the count of the command line argument should be what? 1, because the name of the program by default is the first command line argument. As you can see, count is 1. So if I want to give some other command line arguments, here the count will be what? First argument is hello and second argument is this one. So when I click enter, count has changed to 2. Okay. Now suppose I want to actually type the arguments. So I want to, suppose this will be displayed, argv of 0 is equal to %s. These are the strings, right? Command line arguments are saved as strings in your program. So argv of 0 means the first command line argument, right? In arrays, if we access using index 0, means the first element of the array, means the first pointer of the array, means that pointer is pointing to the first command line argument. What is the first command line argument? The name of the program. So argv of 0 means the first command line argument, which is nothing but the name of the program. So now I have uncommented this, means there is a change in my program. So I must save this program, right? Otherwise the changes will not be reflected when I compile and execute. Now I will compile by clicking on GCC, and I can click my upward arrow if I want, right? Now I will compile. No error, so successful compilation. Now I can execute by clicking on hello. Now I'm not passing any other argument. Only program name is essential if you want to execute a program. Okay, without command line arguments. So I've typed the name of the program. So the count of command line arguments will be what? 1. Because by default, first command line argument is the name of the program. Now I click on enter. So the count is 1. And I'm going to print out the actual first command line argument, which is hello, which is accessed by argv of 0. Means what is getting displayed? This string argv of 0 is equal to %s. In place of %s, what is coming? The first command line argument, which is nothing but name of the program, right? Now suppose I'm going to give certain, if I type argv of 1, okay, then what will happen? So it is expected that, so now I have to recompile because I made a change in my program. So no errors, so I have successful compilation. And now hello, I have given the name of my program, but I'm not passing any additional argument. So there's only one argument which can be accessed by argv of 0, but I'm printing argv of 1, but this is absent. So it is nothing but null, it will display as the argument. So what is happening? Suppose this is your command prompt through which you will enter the command line argument. Short form of a command line is CMD. So this is the array. You can have a pointer at position 0, at position 1, or index 1, and index 2, and index 3. You can have the pointers over here to the command line arguments. Now, the first command line argument that you pass is by default the name of the program. Here in this case, it is hello. So I'll enter through my command prompt hello. This I'll type it out. So this is my first command line argument. So a pointer will be created in my array to hello. Okay, so at argv of 0, at argv of 0, what do I have? I have the argument hello, which is nothing but a string. The name of a program is nothing but a string, right? So with arg of 0, I will be able to access the command line argument as hello. Now next argument, if I pass is abcd, so a new pointer will be established to abcd argument. So using argv of 1, I will be able to access the second command line argument, which is nothing but abcd, right? But suppose I go to access argv of 2, but I have not entered the third command line argument, right? Only two command line arguments I've entered, which is nothing but the first index. Through the first index, that is argv of 0, that is index 0, you can access the first command line argument, which is nothing but name of program. Using argv of 1, you can access the second command line argument, which is nothing but the argument which you have typed, which is optional, right? Hello is the program name. It is compulsory to execute a program, but these command line arguments that you give after hello are optional. So it will be accessed using argv of 1. Now, if you give another command line argument, you can access it using argv of 2. But suppose you don't give the third command line argument, what you will access using argv of 2? If you go to type out, if you want to print the value of argv of 2, it will get printed as null, right? It will get printed as null, as you can see here, right? So suppose here I'll make it as argv of 2. Here also let me make it as 2. I need to save it, right? So that I can, the changes will be updated. Now I will simply compile it using my command line and then execute it by typing the name of the program. So now I'm going to access argv of 2, but I have passed only one argument, that is name of the program. So argv of 0 is hello, but argv of 1 is null, argv of 2 is null, argv of 3 and onwards is null. So when I click on enter, it will give the count as 1 and the remaining argv of 2 is null. Okay, let me again run it. So, and I'll give one argument. So hello is at argv of 0 and abcd is at hello, abcd is at argv of 1. Hello argument is your first command line argument accessed using argv of 0. abcd is your second command line argument accessed using argv of 1. But third command line argument will be accessed using argv of 2, but I'm not giving it. So it will give me null over here. Okay, just a minute. I need to open a new command prompt because I'm sharing my screen. It is not accepting properly. So I'll go again in my desktop. Autocomplete / C programming. Okay, whatever you can give. And then within the C day 5 unit 3 folder. Okay, and then enter. I want to first compile. Without compiling, you cannot execute. Which is the code, which is the command for compiling? gcc program name.c. Okay, the name of the program was wrong, right? It is hello, not hello. It is hello. So it is giving me that no such file or directory identified. So I should type the correct name, hello, or simply autocomplete so that you don't make a mistake. So now it will compile successfully. Now I am passing hello and I'm passing another argument, right? But I'm not passing the third argument. So argv of 2 should return null. as you can see. argv of 2 is giving me null. Similarly, argv of 3, all that will give me null. Okay. Now let us see another program in which we can print the count as well as all the arguments which we are passing. So I'll copy that code over here only. What this code will do, here I'm using A and B instead of argc and argv. So counter, okay, then program name will be what? The first command line argument, right? Means argv of 0. But here instead of argv I have written b is my array. So b of 0 is nothing but equivalent to saying argv of 0. It is the name of your program, right? It is a string, so %s. Now count is what? argc, or here in this case it is a. So for your convenience, let me write, okay, you can understand it is a only. So instead of argc I'm writing a. So if the count is 1, then print that no extra command line arguments other than the name of the program. But if the count, it is argc, or in this case a, is 2 or greater than 2, then you must print out number of command line arguments passed are. How many arguments are passed? The count. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so the count is passed. So following are the command line arguments passed. So starting from 0 up to less than count, all the arguments will be passed. Okay, just a minute. For your better understanding, let me write argc and argv only. So argc is the count of the total number of arguments. By default, it is 1 because first command line argument by default is your name of your program. Argv will hold the pointers to the actual command line arguments which you pass. So name of the program will be argv of 0, right? If the count is 1, means no extra command line arguments, only the name of your program you have passed as the first command line argument. But if the command line arguments ka count argc is 2 or greater than 2, then you have passed more arguments. How many arguments you have passed? Argc arguments. Means argc is the count, right? If you pass 4 arguments, argc is equal to 4. So number of arguments passed is the count. That is, if you are passing 4 command line arguments, value of argc is 4. So %d will get replaced with 4. And what are the actual arguments you want to print? So following are the command line arguments passed, and then you must iterate in a for loop, right? You must print out argv of 0, then you must print out argv of 1, then you can print out argv of 2, and so on. So instead of counter, you can simply say I also over here, no problem. And you must declare this I. So int I is the counter variable, and that you're using within your for loop. So when I is equal to 0, what will happen? You will be able to print argv of %d. So %d will get replaced with I, that is initially 0. So argv of 0 is %s. %s will get replaced with the command line argument argv of 0. I is 0, so argv of 0 is the name of your program. So first command line argument that will get printed is the name of your program. Then I will get incremented. I will become 1. So you'll be able to print argv 1, and you'll be able to print argv of 1. Then I will become 2, you will be able to print argv of 2. That is your third command line argument. If you want to print fourth command line argument, argv of 3, and so on. Right? How many times? Up till argv of c, argv c. So for example, suppose you're passing first the program name, then you're passing abcd, then you're passing some other argument like 344. So here what is argc value? It is p. So your for loop, how it will run? For I equal to 0, I less than what? argc, and then I plus plus. And here what you're going to print? You're going to print using %s, because command line arguments are stored as strings in your program. And here what you're going to type? argv of I. So how this will run? First I will become equal to 0. Just a minute. So initially I is equal to 0. For this, what will happen? I is equal to 0. So you'll be able to enter the for loop because it is satisfying the condition of I less than argc. So I less than argc is nothing but 0 less than, how many arguments you have passed? 3. So you are checking 0 less than 3, condition satisfied. So you'll enter the for loop. I is what? 0 initially, I less than 3, it is I less than argc. So you'll enter the for loop, then you will be able to print argv of I, but I is nothing but 0. So argv of 0 will get printed. Then what will happen? I plus plus. So I will become equal to 1. Then you will check I less than argc. So you are actually checking 1, value of I is what? 1. Less than argc is what? 3. Condition satisfied. You will be able to print argv of 1. That is argv of I. Then what you will do? Again I plus plus. And now I will become what? 2. Then again you will compare I with argc. I is what now? 2. Less than argc is what? 3. So you'll enter the for loop. You will be able to print argv of what? I. I is what? 2. Okay. Then again I plus plus will happen. I will become equal to what? 3. Now we'll compare I with argc. But what is I now? 3. And what is argc? Also 3. 3 less than 3 false. So for loop will get terminated. So what all you have been able to print now? You have been able to print argv of 0, that is name of the program. Argv of 1, that is first command line argument which you pass. Or you can say in total second command line argument. And then argv of 2, which is third command line argument. So argv of 0 is hello, argv of 1 is abcd, argv of 2 is 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let us run this program and see. Through command line, through your IDE, you will not be able to enter command line arguments. Okay, that's why you have to use the computer ka command line argument. So now I will compile using gcc hello.c. Okay, successful compilation, and then hello. Then I'll pass the command line argument abcd. Okay, then I'll pass the command line argument 2, 3, 4 and click enter. So program is successfully getting executed. Just like how you execute in your dev C++, you get a black screen and there you get the output, right? Suppose I execute any program in dev C++, what happens when you compile and run? You get this black screen. Just replace this output window with your command line prompt. Okay, so what is getting executed here? First it will print program name is argv of 0. So what it is printing? Program name is argv of 0 is nothing but hello. Then is the argument count 1? No, it is greater than 1, greater than equal to 2. So it is printing number of arguments passed is nothing but argc, that is 3 it is printing. Then following other command line arguments is getting displayed. And then what you are printing, when I is equal to 0, you are able to print argv of 0 is hello, argv of 0 is what? Hello, that you have passed here. Argv of 1 is abcd and argv of 2 is 2, 3, 4. Right? Now let me re-execute this. I am not making any change in my program, so I can directly execute without compiling by clicking the program name. This time only one argument I have passed. So this condition is satisfied. Argument count equal to 1. So what it will print? No extra command line argument is passed other than program name. But suppose I pass another command line argument, like suppose FOOD. Then the number of arguments is 2. So greater than equal to 2 condition satisfied. So it will print the number of arguments is passed is 2 and the command line arguments that you pass. Okay, I hope you have understood all these programs. So if you have any difficulty, you can contact me, you can WhatsApp me, and I'll be executing some other programs in the next video. Thank you for watching this.